Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's June 13th, 2021. Today we're going to be looking at Venus. And recently I mentioned in a video that with all of the buildings and all of the structures and the cities and these dunes and everything that we've seen on Mars, there's just no way that it would end there, right? I mean, how could it be that on Mars there would be trillions of people and trillions of buildings and all of this and just have it stop? There's no way. So this is why I decided to take a closer look at Venus. And something occurred to me. There's been so much talk lately about all these UFOs and this report that's going to be coming out pretty soon, and all of this. And the narrative is always about ETs. Now, they're not going to be talking about ETs in these reports. This is where people's minds naturally go. But typically speaking, when you're talking about UFOs, it's all about these ETs coming from other galaxies or from light years away and all of that. And this is kind of the narrative, the unofficial narrative of where all of these UFOs come from. And the thing is, in my opinion, they're all coming from our own solar system. There's plenty of people and technology on Mars. You've been there for hundreds of millions of years. They got all the stuff. There's no reason at all why they wouldn't be flying around everywhere in the solar system, not just on Earth. And we've seen lots of black triangles, for instance, on Earth, and we've seen some small black triangles also on Mars. So they're here. And then we have Venus. And Venus does appear to be just like Mars, only much more so. They have got so many buildings. And I wanted to say that Venus has cities, but it doesn't. No. Venus is a city. Venus is just like the city in the Star Wars movie. What was the name of that city or that planet? Coruscant, I think it was. It's a planet that is entirely terraformed and is entirely one large city. Well, folks, this is what we have with Venus. Take a pick. I've said this before on Mars too, but take a pick. Pick out some pictures. Go to the archives and randomly take out pictures and start taking a closer look. And what are you going to find? Well, it's the same thing every single place that you look on Venus. I mean, this is a serious amount of city here, isn't it? One end to the other. If you want to go for a walk in downtown, walk out the door. You're downtown. Where do you go out on the town around here? No doubt they have plenty of places. And that reminds me, another bunch of bullshit from NASA is these stories about what the planets in our solar system offer and the moons. We talk about Mars, okay? Low or no oxygen, no water, no this, freezing temperatures, blowing wind. How do we know that's true? And then just recently they came out and said that there's actually more oxygen on Mars, than what we were saying. And then Venus is too hot, right? It's like trying to live in an oven. It's 500 degrees and it's got super high pressure and it's just an unlivable place. The problem with that narrative is that forgot to tell the people living there. We forgot to tell the many trillions of people living on Venus that they can't live there. It's just too hot and it's just too high pressure, and you should all be dead. Okay, so that's Mars and Venus. Now, what about Mercury? What have they told us about Mercury? Why should we believe that? Why really should we believe anything NASA says? I didn't make this video to be a rant on NASA, but they create these narratives, and our focus is out in space when it should be right here in the solar system. Now, here's another one of these craters, these imitation craters that we see all over the solar system. Technothanks calls them the circle of life, that they're universal symbol. A circle is a universal symbol of life. And he might be right, because they build craters, or what look like craters, all over the solar system. Now this crater, or whatever you want to call it, construction, to me looks like a Girl Scout cookie that somebody took 2 bites out of it, right? And right here on the edge of where the bites were taken out, we have structures, some dark ones, and look, they're colored as well, right? Just like the dunes on Mars, this is colored specifically. And you know, I'll be damned, you know, it looks just like they're trying to make it look like a cookie with 2 bites out of it. I know that sounds stupid, and I'm sure it is, but why would they color it like that? That is so strange. This is up at the top of that circle, and you can see some of the white lines going up, and on the left side here you can see where the circle comes around. And very clearly you can see some of these white structures, these lines. And you know, all of these white structures are so bright. I just can't even tone them down at all. It's just too bright. Hard to get stuff out of it. And here's a few more of these mysterious circles that some people might think are craters. These are all exactly the same size, aren't they? And quite clustered. I don't think you'll ever find anywhere real craters that are all exactly the same size and clustered together. So obviously we know these aren't craters. And this is another typical picture of Venus, where you have something anomalous there, and all of these white lines going every direction. And right here in the middle of these craters, these circles, are once again stuffed with buildings. Every kind of building. Yeah, I was going to say every kind of building you can think of, except for anything other than square or rectangular. There is no different kinds of buildings. It's always the same. And for whatever reason, these pictures from Venus are clearer than the ones that we've seen from Mars. So it's allowed me to get some closer pictures and really sort of definitively show you these structures. Here we have another image of Mars. This is a typical. Now look at these lines. Is there anything that could make you think that this would be natural? Now what in the hell would make a white line go, you know, who knows, 50, 100, 200 miles? Nothing. There's nothing like that. And why on earth would we even for a moment think that this is something that's natural? It's kind of amazing to me that they even put these pictures up, because you know, I can't be the first one that's looked at this closely. But it seems like it. I've never seen any pictures of looking at this stuff closely. So what do people think when they look at these crazy pictures of all this stuff? You know? Yeah, Black and white. It sure would be great to have some color. But looking at all this stuff, even if it in black and white, it's not natural. It's just impossible. So that means if it's not natural, that means it's man-made. And there is a large amount of people on this planet, right? There are so many people living here. Our solar system is loaded with people. And, what does it make? It makes me wonder, what do they think of people on Earth? They have the technology to look at us closely, everything. Yeah. It seems odd that here we are on our little rock with, compared to anywhere else, hardly any people on it. There's been a narrative about aliens living on Earth, and that there's 3 competing civilizations that live here on Earth. So maybe they're keeping the rest of the solar system away. I don't know. Or maybe these 3 competing factions are Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Maybe those are the competing factions. Of course, these are questions we'll never know, and we're certainly not going to get any of those kinds of answers at all from this information dump that's coming up soon. But Venus is the land of lines, and there are lines everywhere you look, and they're all the same. We've looked at them before on Mars. We've seen them before previously. A couple of years ago, I did a video on these lines. And it's not just the lines and all the white stuff. I mean, look how grainy these pictures are, right? They're just so grainy, and they have so much texture. Why do you think that is? Because all of that graininess, all of that texture, all of that gravelly looking area is structures. It's buildings. And there isn't a picture that doesn't have this grainy look to it, which means that these structures are over the entire planet. That's an amazing notion, isn't it? It was one thing on Mars to have these massive cities, these beautiful, incredible cities in the dunes, but to have an entire planet that literally every inch is covered. And it's hard to show you that kind of stuff. I mean, this picture right here, we've got so many structures in here and they're all tight together, and it's all black and white, and it's all two-dimensional. But I think you can see them. And this is the way the entire planet is. So, it's, it's, I would say it's a little disconcerting, but it's been this way for a long time. And nothing's changed. Us knowing that they're there isn't going to change a thing. Everything remains the same. It's just your own reality that changes. And so I wonder if these people, obviously, in my opinion, these people have been here on Venus a lot longer than they've been on Mars. Mars is catching up. But it's a long ways from Venus. Maybe it'll take another couple 100 million years. How long have they been here on Venus? been here longer than 270 million years. 500 million, 700 million, a billion years. Why not? Now, these pictures here are really strange. At first, they seem like quite a mess. You need to take the time to just sit and look at it. Now, I don't know why it's a split window like this, but if you take the time and look closely, you're going to see some really large structures. And that's one of the things that I've always felt was rather odd. You have all of these what look like white skyscrapers, or what you're guessing are relatively tall buildings, but then right next to them can be really, really, really large structures. It's hard to put your mind around what's going on here. And you have the structures going up to the right. We've seen this before on Mars. They stack these buildings to gain altitude. And in my opinion, that area that they're climbing is a mat. We're not only just looking at the structures on the surface of the planet, but I'm quite sure, like Mars and like some of the pictures we've seen here on Venus, that they're building on top, on top, on top, on top. It's a thick mat of buildings. Pretty hard to prove. Really hard to prove with these pictures. But that's what it looks like to me. Off to the left here, we've got some large buildings. Now, some of these pictures aren't that great, but they really do show you some large structures in the background on the left, and also show you some large structures in the foreground as well. So you can see the foreground and the background at the same time. I wonder how many people live in one of those apartment complexes. It's really mind-boggling. I keep trying to come up with adjectives to describe how these look, how it makes me feel. It's pretty hard. But there are these large buildings right next to these small buildings, and the difference is just so incredible. I tried throwing in a couple different filters, try and clear this up a little bit, because it is pretty amazing, the diverse structures in this picture. And just another shot of more of these white buildings that are going to go streaming off in a different direction, no doubt. Linda called them tendrils. Well, I think we know what these tendrils are now. I think the case is closed on that. And if you ask me, the case is closed on Venus. This place is alive. Thanks for watching, everyone.